some forms of the black community is going to always be a cult-like, whereas they believe in a certain leader or a certain aspect of a God, so they're going to close themselves off to the greater community. Although they might say that, they don't represent the conventional Christianity or the conventional Islam and all, but still yet it's still that cult-like atmosphere. And basically, if you're not on the agenda of either being down with their particular leader or their particular God, you see what I'm saying, then it's going to be limited in the way they're going to reach out to the black community and assist each other. So you do have that factor that goes down in the conscious community. So therefore, the ones that's left outside of that doesn't particular put the plateau as far as one particular deity or one particular belief system or one particular leader, those people who don't deal with that's on the outside, on the periphery, in the aspect that say we try to deal with all of the black conscious information as a form of black history. So therefore, the Hebrew aspect, we accept that because the simple fact it's a part of our history. Doesn't necessarily mean whether it's 10,000 years old or whether it's 3,000 years old. We deal the same thing with the Islam we deal with, because we understand that all of it is a part of black history, our particular aspect. We know that nobody outside of us put forth those particular systems. And we also know that those particular systems, if you dig deep enough, have their mystical side to them. So therefore, we don't necessarily shut out anybody. It's the same thing like I'm dealing with this thing here, the return of the ancient evil. And the sister Aviva, she said that she was dealing with something that she needed to deal with, something based on melanin and the dark side or whatever. And I told her to go to Isaiah 44. And I knew that Isaiah 44 tell you, I will give you the treasures of darkness. But I told her to read the whole chapter. Because I knew there was another brother said that when he read the whole chapter, there was all types of metaphysical things coming out of that Isaiah, out of the book of Isaiah. And in there it said that I created the dark and the light. I created the evil and the good. So the evil and the good. So therefore we talk about polarities here other than wicked versus good and that whole kind of thing. We're talking about polarities, changing seasons. But it was right there in the book of Isaiah. Right there in the book of Isaiah. So we deal with all of this because we know that these particular scriptures are nothing but rewritten. They were ancient scriptures that was rewritten to fit a particular movement. And again, take case in point. Good example. We always knew, even in the Afrocentric movement, that we knew that most of these scriptures came out of the libraries of ancient Kemet or ancient Africa. And we knew that basically the pages of the Bible was nothing but basically rewritten or plagiarized pages of stuff that came out of ancient Kemet. The thing about it is we never really traced those particular, the book of Isaiah, the book of Job, the book of so-and-so, back to see exactly where does it line up with the text, because on the other hand and stuff, we're not privy to a lot of things of research that these Europeans are privy to. Well, the guy Gary Greenberg that wrote the book, The Moses Mystery, put out this book called The Myths of the Bible, 101 Myths of the Bible, and by Gary Greenberg. And in here, he's literally showing you this is the book of the book of let's say it's give you a good example. The book of give me a Bible, Deuteronomy. Good. Then he'll show you exactly where you can find the same mythology in the Egyptian or the Camite text. And literally these people just took these particular things and just rewrote them in their political agenda. We're talking about politics here other than the Word of God. So this particular book here is an excellent book, Gary Greenberg book, 101 Myths of the Bible, where they literally go back in and take those particular texts and show you the parallel between that and the Camite text. You see, so if we know that the book of Isaiah, it says, it starts off, well, I'll give you the treasures of darkness. We know that this is a lot of alchemical stuff. It's a lot of Kabbalistic information. And basically, we don't throw anything out because we're all dealing with fragments. You see what I'm saying? We're all dealing with fragments. And that's the difference about really winning the game. Whenever you throw something out and proclaim this as the actual truth, the game stops, and therefore you become stuck. It's just like the baby with the bathwater when we threw out the Greek thing, because we understood that the Greeks plagiarized the information from the mystery schools, the Greek philosophy. But Greek mythology was completely black. But if they plagiarized Greek philosophy, you still need to deal with that. You see what I'm saying? But then again, on the other hand, there's this whole story, whether Aristotle or any of these particular people, whether they were black in the first place or whether they were black in the first place. You see what I'm saying? There's these, so this particular information, because we know that they said that they were persecuting people who came to Greece with this philosophy. So obviously, that anybody that came there had to have been of another race. And I remember one time back in '94 when Ginger had first got off the Native American mounds, and I said, well, let me take this opportunity, because she was opened up as a channel. So I said, well, let me do something. Instead of just asking all these regular mundane questions and stuff, or whether the rent gonna get paid or whatever kind of shit, let me take this opportunity, because I have a hierarchy, to recorrect those particular histories. And then the first thing I asked is, why the hell y'all let white people into the doggone mystery system? And they said, we never let any white people in the mystery system. White folks never went to the mystery system. But then again, on the other hand, I met a Greek woman that worked with Ginger at the Atlanta Journal and Constitution in '99. I was like, man, this woman here gonna die from skin cancer, because this woman has a tan year round. And I just thought she was going to some of those tanning beds. And the woman started talking and all, and she said, I'm from Greece, and in so many words, she said that this tan is my permanent tan. So I said, now wait a minute. Now, if this is a woman, obviously she looks European, but she's real. I mean, she was real dark. You know how the ones where you see the Europeans where they go and they tan so point during the summer to like August, they are real dark before the shit start peeling. But she was like that. I said, well, if she's this way in 1999, can you imagine what the origins of the Greek would have been 2,000 years ago? You see what I'm saying? And then I met some out at a mall one day with nappy hair. And then and Charles Spence said that 90%, well, 70 or 80% of the Greeks had sickle cell. So we know if the 80% of them had sickle cell, that's got to be a black nation. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, we're talking about the lies are so massive until basically you have to really analyze, and you can't make no judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like they're saying, like they found, what's the tomb? Ramesses the Fifth, or one of those Ramesses kings, Ramesses the Fifth king, back in 93 or 94. They haven't opened it up to the public, because the man said they over there just a painting and just a, you know, they over there just a painting and all, and they making sure all those black figures are going to be lily white by the time they open it all up. You see what I'm saying? So they just over there just a painting and just doing all this type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? And you know, it's interesting because I was reading some book, The Gods of Dark and Light, and it was talking about Horus, or Heru, and they say Heru is a deity that has blue eyes. Now we know that basically, the eye of Heru itself, you see the eye of Heru, which is supposed to be Horus's eye, is a black dot. Where we coined the phrase the black dot from the eye of Heru, or the eye of Horus. But here this person in this particular book said that Horus's eyes is blue eyes, and 98% of the book, she did a book, DJ Conway did this book, and all the stuff that was in the book was of another culture, mainly African culture, India culture from India, all of this stuff, and they didn't have one black picture in the entire book. I'm like, God damn, wait a minute now. Here it is, you call yourself the great people of deductive reasoning and logic and rationale, and then all of a sudden when it comes to race, you're just going to suspend your common sense. You know what I'm saying? And somebody say, and we say, well, you know, people are supposed to produce the entity in whichever race they want to be in. Well, that would be good in our sake. But then again, on the other hand, don't tell me you're going to go to damn blue-black Africa. You see what I'm saying? And produce a European. You see, so they're constantly, I mean, there is so much information that these people have covered over until in so many words, I hear things sometime and I go, I never ever say that no, it cannot necessarily be that way. It's just like the same thing where they got this discrepancy of whether civilization started in the Yucatan over in the Western Hemisphere, whether civilization started in Africa. But then again, if the earth was one landmass, you see what I'm saying? There could very well be this reason why is it that every creation myth that comes about, whether it's Native American, whether it's New Zealand, whether it's Aborigine, whether it's African, whether it's Mexico, why is it that all of them say this is where the people first stood up? Now, they're talking about Montauk Point, Long Island, which is supposed to be the Montauk Indians or the Montauk Native Americans. And they got a mythology to say that the first man and woman stood up in Montauk Point, Long Island. You see what I'm saying? There's a mythology that the first man and woman stood up in the Samoan, the Samoan nation. You see. And we got this same story, but if we're talking about, number one landmass, number one, we're talking about time being so remotely ancient until we can't just say, not even Africa. You see what I'm saying? And that's when Elijah Muhammad used to say, no, wait a minute, this whole earth belonged to us.